Good morning, everybody. Good morning. For those of you that follow me on Twitter, you probably already saw the special announcement I made not long ago. For those of you who don't, I'll clue you in. This episode of Pokemon Facts and Trivia is the final episode in the series. If you want to know the full details, then I welcome you to read my post in the description below. I know that most of my subscribers are probably here today because of the success of the series, so I just wanted to say thank you all so very much for being so supportive of the series. I couldn't have made it this far without you, and it's made me very proud of the series as a whole. Without any further ado, let's make this a finale to remember. Fact number 1. Whiscash. Whiscash was the very last Pokemon to ever use the move Earthquake in the Pokemon anime, in the episode Whiscash and Ash. In 2004, a devastating earthquake in Japan banned the next episode of the anime, titled Shaking Island Battle, Barboach vs. Whiscash, where Whiscash would once again be the Pokemon causing earthquakes. Moves like Fissure and Magnitude have also been banned in the anime since. However, Bulldoze, despite being a similar move, is unbanned, likely because it doesn't seem as destructive, or simply because it's a newer move. Speaking of the anime, a wild Munchlax once ate May's Pokeball, but was captured from the inside out. However, a few months earlier, when a wild Whiscash ate a Master Ball, it wasn't captured. Anime logic. Whiscash is based on a Namazu, a catfish from Japanese mythology that causes earthquakes. In fact, its Japanese name is Namazune, which is almost exactly the same word. At least they weren't trying to hide anything. In Generation 6, the coloration of Whiscash's shiny model is significantly duller than compared to previous generations. Although this happens to many Pokemon in Generation 6, shiny Whiscash appears to have the most drastic changes. Fact number 2. Price. When fighting Price in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Price will enter the battlefield saying, "Willow is my middle name. Willow is flexible and not easily broken. I am not giving up yet." Usually when someone says such and such is my middle name, it's not meant to be taken literally. It's just a trait of theirs. However, Price's Japanese name is Yanagi, which translates to Willow, so odds are he probably isn't kidding. It's a good thing his middle name is Willow and not his first name, otherwise we'd probably think he's either a grass-type gym leader or a new professor. Price also goes through a very strange redesign process in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. In the original games, Price is dressed in a t-shirt and shorts, implying that the cold doesn't faze him at all. But in the remakes, he wears long pants, a coat, and a scarf. So what gives? In fact, all the other Ice-type gym leaders seem to be modeled after Price's original appearance in Gold and Silver, where they don't seem to mind the cold that much. But now Price is the guy who's weakened by the cold. I don't get it. Price is also the only gym leader to ever forfeit against Ash in the anime. Yeah, let's move on. Fact number 3. Ken Sugimori. As many of you know, Ken Sugimori is the designer and artist for hundreds of Pokemon and characters within the main series games. Although he's designed many of the complex Pokemon we know and love today, surprisingly his favorite Pokemon that he's designed are Gengar and Zekrom, two very simplistic Pokemon. On the other hand, Sugimori stated that his least favorite design is Venusaur, possibly because of the fact that its appearance in the box art of Pokemon Green lacked the appeal that Charizard had to most fans. Sugimori also once stated that Mega Flygon was planned to be in Pokemon X and Y, but he encountered artist block and dropped the idea. It was brought up again for Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, but once again, Sugimori and the team struggled to make a good design for Mega Flygon. Sugimori also encountered an artist block when designing Xerneas and Yveltal, as he came up with the basic concepts for them, but for the first time he had to turn over his work to another artist, known as Izuki Amura. Once Amura progressed with the designs, Sugimori returned to finish them. Fact number 4. Pokmon Tournament. Okay, the game isn't out yet, but we can still talk about some of the things we know about it. Back in late 2014, when the game was first revealed in Japan, a survey was taken to see what Pokemon fans wanted to be in the game. Although Gengar would eventually be the winner, he faced some unlikely competition. According to a Game Explain interview with the Pokemon creators, Pachirisu almost beat Gengar as the winner of the fan ballot. Apparently, this was because of the Pachirisu that was on the winning team of the 2014 Pokemon World Championships. Fortunately, Pachirisu wasn't entirely forgotten about and was made into a support Pokemon for the Wii U release. Also, Pokmon Tournament is the title of the game in every language, except German, where the game is called Pokemon Tekken instead. This is likely because the word Pokken means smallpox in German. Yeah, parents would be kinda concerned if their kids told them they'd be going to buy smallpox on March 18th. Probably a smart decision. Fact number 5. Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon features a number of returning characters from the previous games. However, there are a few inconsistencies. The most obvious one is probably that Wigglytuff is referred to as a female by Chatot, even though Wigglytuff was always referred to as a male in Explorers of Time and Darkness. The other noticeable question is how Grovyle, Dusknoir, and Shiny Celebi from the future can exist in the same time as the other characters from Explorers of Time and Darkness. But to be fair, we never really knew how many years ahead the future of Darkness was in those games. And Super Mystery Dungeon states many times that Wigglytuff's guild was recently closed down. So if a few years have passed, it's very possible the Pokemon of the present day and the Pokemon of the future eventually began existing at the same time. Or something like that. Let's move on before this gets too complicated. However, most people don't realize that the 3 continents from the previous games return as well, and are given proper names. The Air Continent is the continent where Red Rescue Team and Blue Rescue Team took place. Even if you didn't notice the identical maps, then you probably noticed how Whiscash sits in a pond in the center of Barum Town. Just how he did in Pokemon Square in the earlier games. Barum is Korean for wind, by the way. The Grass Continent is where Explorers of Time, Darkness, and Sky took place. The Mist Continent is where Gates to Infinity took place. And surprisingly, the Water Continent is not an original continent created in this game. The Sand Continent is. The eastern island of the Water Continent was actually featured in Red Rescue Team and Blue Rescue Team, containing the dungeons Wish Cave, Joyous Tower, and Purity Forest. None of these dungeons return in Super Mystery Dungeon, though. In the post-game, you probably noticed that while collecting the 8 legendary Looplets, that the names of 5 of them are the Red Looplet, Blue Looplet, Time Looplet, Darkness Looplet, and Sky Looplet, referring to the previous Mystery Dungeon games. But what about these 3? Well, the Japanese names of those Looplets are the Blazing Looplet, Stormy Looplet, and Light Looplet, referring to the 3 Japanese WiiWare Mystery Dungeon titles that never came internationally. There was actually a possibility of these games being released outside of Japan, as their titles were all translated and trademarked with the same words being present: Blazing, Stormy, and Light. It's time for a bonus fact. The Chinese logos of the newly announced games, Sun and Moon, contain octahedron-like shapes. If you remember, Pokemon X and Y had the Mega Evolution symbol in their Japanese logos. So how could this shape possibly relate to the plot of Pokemon Sun and Moon? Guess we'll have to wait and find out. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, then you can go ahead and hit that subscribe button up there. Or if you're not convinced yet, just click the middle of the screen for some more videos. Follow me on Twitter at JPRP78 for even more Pokemon content. And if you enjoyed, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. And I'll see you guys next time.